Today's matchup. MVP. Griffin. 2018 League of Legends Champions Korea Summer Promotion.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's good to see your faces again, even though I can't actually see them. I'm Achilles, that's Papa Smithy. It's good to be back here at OGN. It's been quite a while since that wild card match all the way through the playoffs, but it's good to be back here in the studio with some fans in the audience ready to check out the promotion tournament winners match. MVP going up against Griffin, winner of this best of 5. They're going to lend themselves a spot in LCK Summer.
Thankfully, no need to catch you up, though, of course. Achilles, you've been watching at home and seeing King Zone become our champions. The first round matches here, where unfortunately Ever8 winners, it was a bit of Ever8 losers action, as they are unfortunately eliminated already from the tournament. A lot of people who are joining us today, they just want to watch some League of Legends. They already saw King Zone 1, and they wondered, what's going on here? What are we trying to get down to brass tacks for? Remember, we're the only region that still has Summer Promotion left out of the major regions. It's all about those final 2 spots. 2 out of the 3 teams remaining go to LCK Summer. The last team, the loser, Kongdu Monster, is waiting in the final match. So basically the way it goes, guys, today we have a best of 5 between Griffin and MVP. Winner straight through to LCK Summer. Then we have one more best of 5, the loser of this match against Kongdu Monster on Sunday. A double elimination tournament. This is basically our winner's bracket final today.
Yeah, and I think either of the teams here in this match, obviously they want to go ahead, they want to just win this best of 5, advance straight into LCK, join that star-studded roster with King Zone, SKT, all those big names, re-achieve it if you're MVP, make it finally if you're Griffin, but if you have to play Kongdu, maybe not the worst thing.
And again, complicated, but just remember, double elimination, lose twice and you're out, win twice and you're in. MVP, Griffin, they both won, that means they play today. Winner of this is straight through. They're done. They're in LCK Summer. So much hype about Griffin, and they certainly were able to, in Game 2, look good. But MVP is no pushovers. I don't think a straight 3-0 for Griffin is the most likely prediction for this match.
Yeah, MVP was able to bounce back quite handedly there in their match. Dropped Game 1 to Ever8, and then just went ahead and stomped them out. Max especially having some great performances there out of the support role. 1-3 and 26 throughout that entire series. The only deaths that he had were in that first game loss.
Well, there is Beyond in the middle of your screen, and there is the AR. He looks a bit different today, Achilles.
Yeah, you know, it's a little unsettling. I had heard that it happened. I was told at the final that Beyond shaved his head. I was like, well, that's got to be weird. And now that I'm sitting in the same room, I'm a bit uncomfortable, Papa Smithy.
Well, he had a bit of a mop of hair, and he's probably lost weight with that haircut because he comes in and he's all about going pure monk-esque here, I would say, and being ready to go. And the word is that he was stressed, Achilles, and you would be. MVP, after being promoted, have never had to play in promotions. We've had big orgs fall into promotions. Jin Air was able to stay back in the LCK. MVP are in a good spot. They got 2 chances, but they faced the team that was on everyone's lips, 14-0. In the Challenger Series, it's Griffin.
Yeah, the star-studded team getting ready to come in here out of the Challenger Series. These guys have looked dominant all the way through. They want to continue that here with one final victory to land themselves a spot in LCK Summer. Lehens all the way at the end. League of Lehens is real. We saw some great performances on the Alistar from him.
And we saw this team in the Kesper Cup. They beat LCK opposite. They beat the FLICKR Freaks in that tournament. They have already shown they were competitive, and that was with Viper only just joining the lineup. Very young AD carry, but it's just talent in his own right. Tarzan is the one that most people know alongside Lehens, because they've been the top of solo queue for a couple of years. Very strong team. They get a bit greedy in the drafting phase, though. We'll see if that greed extends to today.
Well, we've already had the experience, Papa Smithy. The Griffin special, maybe we'll get it here today. Didn't really see it in their series so far, but there's a nice little close-up on Beyond, and I'm still just, I gotta get used to this.
Says perfect KDA there for Skarner, and a Skarner first pick into the Thresh, the Griffin special. of the Impale into the Lantern. That's what we want to see today for a bit of style. A lot of people want to see Griffin go through a double round robin best of 3 season against some of the great teams in the world. It feels like they have the most hype and are starting to actually achieve the hype if they qualify, since ESC ever, of course, went over to IEM, were able to win one, but weren't in the LCK. People want to see Griffin play against teams, and they get to see them against Beyond and MVP in a best of 5.
He shaves his head, comes in, has 666 damage taken per minute. I feel like we're
What does it
building
mean?
up. It's some sort of ritual that he's performing. I don't know where it's going to end up, but maybe they're trying to make a deal with the devil to make their way back in the LCK.
Are we going to judge them for making those sort of deals if it gets them back into the big leagues?
Hell no.
Not for us to judge, Achilles. We go to the 80 carry role. Pilot retains his spot, has been the better 80 carry as Maha at a down season. He's playing against Viper. This guy is one of those prodigies. I want to see his Vayne today. If we see a first pick into the Kai'Sa, I bet we will see a Vayne following from Griffin.
Or at least the ban to come through, but yeah, going to be very heavily contested, this Kai'Sa, all throughout. We saw how heavily contested it was, or rather not very contested, in the grand final there for Kingzone Dragon X-Prey, able to play that all the way through the 4 games. Just the 1 loss, and then, 3 pop-offs in a row.
Viper's first season, he was eligible to play. Turned 17 in October last year. Very, very young talent. Got a lot of them running around. MVP sub support Motive also just turned 17. So we're seeing the new generation. We're also seeing the fighting words, not in Chinese this time. Tired of having to write a resolution. Guess what? You only have to write these in those elimination matches, in those promotion and playoffs. He's done with it. He just wants to be back in LCK.
All right, this is it. We're going to put an end to it. Let's re-qualify right here, right now. Like you said, 3-0s on either side, highly unlikely, but a 3-1 victory kind of could go either way. MVP, they have those moments where they look really unformed. They're a streaky team, whether it's, for better or worse. They'll have those moments where they go 10 games down, and then other ones where suddenly they're beating the likes of SK Telecom and a bunch of the other top teams.
This Griffin coach, CV Max, is all known about the short words. It was the same in the last series. We will advance. The confidence is strong in Griffin. Last time out he said, enjoy our great games, and they won 2-0. A lot of hype around Griffin, but he's going to look a bit silly. There's going to be some egg on his face if they don't win at first time of asking.
Well, ready to get loaded up. These guys have been in the studio for quite some time and have a decent turnout here in the audience. Free attendance on a Thursday afternoon in Seoul. And we still have quite a many few faces out there.
They got a pretty sick logo, I have to say. Good
They
job,
do.
OGN, on the 3D printing of that particular one. As you'll notice, MVP opening up with a bit of a weird ban. It's a targeted ban at Rather, who played the Vladimir in Game 1. I actually was pretty critical of the pick because it made them very late game scaling. It was kind of, hey, we'll get there. Don't worry about it. Let's get through the early game. And they almost lost to Kongdu in the early game. So it was a risk. No surprise in the Rakan ban. Actually, Griffin have banned Rakan every game they've played so far in this series.
Seems like they don't like that one. But the Alistar away from Lehens, obviously going to be coming through there from MVP. If you didn't see the Griffin 2-0 set that they played, well, you missed out on a treat. That Alistar not going to be coming through at least for game number 1.
And when Lehens jumps onto something like the Tahm Kench, kind of reminds me of Tucson having to play it in the LCK final where, sure, he can Tahm Kench, but it's not the same as his engage play. Lehens, we mentioned it already, very, very famous to a lot of our viewers at home. Rank 1 Singed player, Rank 1 support Elise player. He's always known at playing a couple of different things. Speaking of different things, a lot available means not everything can be banned. What does it mean for Kai'Sa? Will be left open. Chances of Vayne go up.
Well, Rye's going to be banned away. MVP going to lock in the Swain right up front. So
There's a
in
lot-
mid or in top.
But this is a lot open. Morgana, Kai'Sa. Morgana's been a very frequent first pick. Morgana available. And the entire dual lane available. Skarner is also a big pick. We could see Kai'Sa Skarner or Kai'Sa Morgana taken first round here for Griffin. Be surprised if it wasn't. We're going to see the Kai'Sa, but actually, the Skarner priority may be going down a little bit. Reason for that is a takeaway pick from Beyond, who this season, on a team that has struggled, is 11-1 on Sejuani.
Yeah, played it in games 2 and 3 of their series. Those were their victories. So a takeaway, but he very confidently and quickly locks in that Zac. And now they're teasing perhaps the Caitlyn. So maybe Pilot not as brushed up on his Vayne as you would have liked, Papa Smithy.
Does also mean, Pilot has played this lane already, and it's another way to go in. It's not the skill matchup. It's more about just crushing lane, the 2v2 with the massive range advantage.
Take the turret.
They had to take the Zac, otherwise the jungle bans would come in. So they give up on any hope of Morgana. It's going to be picked or banned away by Griffin. Be a surprise not to see it taken, and we do see a return to the lane that Prey and Gorilla are able to pilot such good use in the LCK final. 3 games, 3 victories, has been frequently banned afterwards. A nice little pickup for the 2v2 lane. Now we go into the second round for the flex top and mid, and also a support on the side of MVP.
Well, Tom Kench going to be banned away, so trying to keep that Caitlyn nice and vulnerable. Not going to give Max the ability to just go ahead and snatch her up, spit her out, back underneath the turret. Vel'Koz, we did see from him in game 1. Wasn't great. 1-3 and 5 or something like that on the Vel'Koz.
The scoreline wasn't fantastic, but it did its job, where its job was just delete the Black Shield at every moment, do enough damage to puncture through it. But it's, again, a riskier pick because you have to deal with other variables. You don't have a tank support to face check. They have Swain, who has the Vision of Empires to check. They'll have a tank jungler. They could return to Vel'Koz if the 2v2 is about playing through lane only.
Galio, now Sion, going to be banned away. Just getting that one out of the hands of ADD, thinking that this Swain is going to be back in the mid lane for Ian.
It's not a Gnar ban. That's the expected blind top laner for the side of Griffin. Could also be into the Swain, of course. Sword has almost exclusively played Gnar throughout the season. Was wrong on the 11-1. It's 11-1 Gnar, actually 9-2 for the Sejuani, but still a big pick for the side of MVP and beyond. So Gnar has been a big one. Will they take it here, or will they look for a mid laner? The Gnar makes so much sense. It's ultra comfort for Sword. You're starting up a best of 5. Why not start it up with comfort?
Something very standard. Can lane into most things. GP, however, for ADD, might be coming through. Just got his arms crossed. Seems pretty nonchalant about it all.
Power and power on both sides. It's always pretty hyped to see, as the Gangplank has been a good pick for ADD on the season. Does mean Swain will be mid lane. There's a lot of different ways you can approach that mid lane.
Could be a GP mid.
You know, it's a chance. And Galio is the favorite for Rather. So if it was GP versus Galio, we've seen that in the mid lane already this season with the Galio banned away. My apologies. The Braum, not the range support that is known from the side of MVP, but they have Caitlyn, so they had a lot of flexibility where they went in the support role. So with his tried and trusty Galio taken away, usually Rather is on facilitator duty. This is not a facilitator. This is attacking the mid lane. It's one of those matchups we see in other regions. Cassiopeia trying to punish the Swain in mid lane.
Cassiopeia, Kaisa, Morgana. Plenty of damage here on the side of Griffin and plenty of lockdown as well. Gnar ultimate into the wall. You've got the Frozen Tomb coming in. Frozen, rather. That would be Lysandra.
Glacial Prison.
Yeah, Glacial Prison. Other icy entrapments coming in there for the Sejuani, as well as that Dark Binding. So lots of lockdown here for the side of Griffin. But MVP, they have a lot of power, especially in that mid lane with the Swain.
And do consider that the 2 threats on the side of Griffin are short-ranged. Cassiopeia and Kaisa with their 525 attack range on patch 8.6. You get ahead with the Zac. The Gangplank ultimate comes first. The Zac jumps in, and those 2 threats can have their heads hitting against each other and kidnap. So there's a lot of threat onto the back line, but Griffin's team fight, both the team fights, pretty damn powerful. How they use the little leads they got. The Gangplank going to be happy with the Gnar lane. The bot lane going double ranged against Caitlyn gives them a chance to go decently even, but Caitlyn is so powerful in the 2v2. It's all about the hype, and it's a lot of comfort as well, Achilleos, and that means we should see some feisty stuff in Game 1 of this best of 5.
Certainly hope so. Had some pretty slow games going through there on Tuesday, which I'm sure made the day even easier for you and Maxi through on all of those matches that you had to go through. Triple best of 3. Never going to be easy to stay awake through that, but
single best of 5 today. We got it this time.
Oh, yeah, we're ready to go. I've been back. I'm ready to go here. League of Legends has been way too long. I'm ready to dive back in here as we enter into this best of 5. Winner of this series goes into LCK Summer Split. Everything on the line for MVP versus Griffin. Griffin having a decent fan showing here in the audience. We're going to do it. The jacket's coming off, Papa Smithy. I'm ready to go.
Griffin is that team with all their dominance, Achilles, that it's pretty easy to be hipster about, because if you watch them in Challenger, you have that high expectations. You wanted to be in there first. You wanted to be behind a team that, you know, you talk to some Korean casters, and I'm not going to name names because we don't need to drag specifics in there, but people are already quoting things like they're getting ready for Worlds, like they're shooting for more than just LCK Summer. They have to qualify first. There were similar big things said about CJ 1 year ago. So a lot of hype around Griffin, but their first best of 5 is the most important one. They want to get into LCK Summer.
Looks like we got mom and dad here in the audience, here to show their support. Good to see. Could be a very good day for their son.
We'll wait
Or a
see.
mediocre one.
That's the thing.
Still has one more chance after this if they lose.
And of course, at home, you need to understand that no one is eliminated today, but one team goes through, because it is double elimination, where effectively in the winner's bracket of the LCK Summer 2018 promotion. Catch you up again if you missed the opening of the show, if you're watching on the VOD. Every 8 winners are eliminated. Kongdu Monster will play the loser of this match. The winner, they're straight through.
See the KDs here for the side of Griffin, very high. What with their 2-0 victory? Perfect one there from Tarzan. Did
Definitely
not die.
Pretty tricky match histories to look through, because basically if they're winning, they're 7-0, 8-0, 9-0 on picks, so very hard to specify between the better and the best of some of these champion pools. In terms of this particular game, Tarzan on the Sejuani, one of 2 Pixie players, loves the Skarner, but went through picks and bans in this game. Wanted more team fight, and that's what you need to understand at home, is that Griffin are one of the big team fighting teams. They will default towards late game team fights. Strong laners and strong team fight, they're going to meet strong laners when they go into the LCK. And get into the team fights, that can be tricky.
It's just so actually frustrating for me, because normally you know that I am not a big fan of the Skarner. I usually stay straight away from it. This is the one team,
Yeah,
the
it's true.
one player
It's true.
that I actually wanted to see run the Skarner. I wanted the Thresh to come in, see just how far we could push it.
It's a best of 5, Achilles.
It's time.
The
I know.
blue side first pick Skarner could come, the Thresh could follow. Ecstasy of seeing the awesome combo that Griffin debuted. We call it the Griffin Special, even when it was played in LCK.
I'm hoping that it's just a game 1 disappointment, and that they will deliver here for my sake by the end of the day.
The other disappointment for global fans is realizing it's not Tarzan or the same Viper from North America.
Well, thank you. That's not where I thought you were going to go with that statement.
The fans are very vocal about the people they like and the people they hope to be watching.
Oh, I thought you were going to make a joke about me being here instead of Atlas.
I mean,
But I appreciate
now
you
you
for
made
not-
it for me.
I know, but I
Thanks,
appreciate you
Achilles.
not doing it. It's okay if I make fun of myself.
You know it's okay if I make fun of you too.
There's nothing really I can do about it.
No.
You've got the seniority here.
Well, let's see how the bot lane goes, because the seniority, which in this case represents the lane priority, does go to the Caitlyn, even if she has a melee support this time. Early laning phase, though, can be tricky at times, and it seems like Pilot and Max have had to sacrifice lane control early. Can change any moment.
Black Shield just going to be denying the slow there. Just sidestep that little bit of damage. We'll see just how bloodthirsty Viper's going to be as we get into the later stages of this game and that ultimate comes online. Already saw from Prey just how bloodthirsty he was in that final, diving in underneath the turrets, giving away his own life to lock them down.
And the thing we're increasingly realizing is that we knew about the synergy with Morgana. Dark Binding hits, well, if you have Killer Instinct up, you can go in. Also consider that every bit of hard CC in a 5v5 is applying plasmids. Now, you can't actually explode the missing health damage, but you can get them up to the 4 stacks. Look at the hard crowd control. Sejuani, Cassiopeia situationally. The Morgana
That's
we
what I was
already
talking about.
mentioned.
There's already so much lockdown.
And then you get the Hurricane, you start popping those Rage Blade stacks, and things go pretty damn good, Achilles.
I mean, suddenly, even in a lane swap situation, if you're in that top lane, if you're ADD, that Gnar stun into the wall, even though that orange is going to come through, he can hit that Killer Instinct right on the second
crunch.
that you get stunned in.
The W Mega Gnar, the crunch as well,
Yeah.
that also does it. So there is a lot of synergy here, high CC comps, and you think back to the comp that Prey and Gorilla, that 7-tank game, there was crowd control on both sides, but one team disproportionately was gaining from it with the plasmids stacking up. That's why the Hurricane can be big. Now, it's a little bit different here. A lot of threat coming through from the Gangplank, not a tank. The Swain may be pseudo-tank in the front line, but also has a lot of damage to put out. You still have to be very on point. In the low-damage game, Prey could kind of be anywhere because he wasn't going to die instantly. This game, it could happen. And speaking of dying,
Throw up to the top side. Elastic Slingshot going to come through. Gets the grab. Pulls him back in. His sword goes mega. But he'll be all right. Doesn't have to pop the flash. So he'll be perfectly safe. Would have been a nice punish if they could have gotten rid of it. Forced him out of lane. In the meantime, Rather and Ian is going back and forth. But Ian's going to have a nice little sustain coming through.
But both teams are largely going to be opting into those late game team fights. You don't have scaling in the same places, but MVP all about the gangplank and potentially being able to overwhelm in the side lane later on in the game, depending on the build that comes through from Sword. And Griffin about Viper getting going on the Kaiser. So a lot of scaling coming through. Beyond, nope, wasn't able to smite it away. Tarzan had to smite. It was just about scuttle control. We don't have too many things to shout about, Achilles, just for now, so you can rest your voice. I know you have a lot of esports at the moment.
Yeah, it's been a long week, but we're about halfway through, Papa Smithy. This is day 4 of 7. 3 more days to go.
Well, I know you have League of Legends today. What's the other title you're doing?
Undersight Challengers.
Oh.
Yeah. It's been all right, you know. It's some fun. It's a change of pace. You wouldn't have this slowness in that game.
That's true.
If you did, then you're just waiting to load in.
But we appreciate the slowness with the Papa and Achilles podcast can happen.
Great,
we
right?
can table set forever. The table's going to be looking beautiful.
And then one of these teams is going to rip the tablecloth out and not do it smoothly enough so everything goes flying all over the place.
And funnily enough, when both teams are team fight, that's kind of what it looks like, Achilles, that one team rips into the meal and the other team comes up for the scraps. There's no meal there. They're going pretty unhappy when it comes to getting a fully fed meal, and that's
can I have some more?
They would love some more, and that's what Game 2 could represent for them. But
exactly.
When the snowball starts, the snowball is going to be pretty extensive in this game, but that snowball is still going to be in the future, as the laning phase has been pretty uninvolved.
How much cricket did you guys talk about on Tuesday?
Not as much as we should have.
Wow, that's really surprising. I wasn't able to listen in. Caught a couple of the VODs here and there, but that's impressive. That's a step forward. I'm proud of you guys.
I mean, I'm very upset with us.
I know, you guys aren't feeling very patriotic.
The Straya-isms were less, there was no AC/DC talk. We didn't talk about cricket. We didn't talk about how John Howard was a great prime minister.
And you call
That's going to trigger half the people.
You even call it
listening.
AC/DC instead of Akadaka.
That's true.
Oh man, you're slipping.
We have a global audience. They don't know about Akadaka.
Well, it's going to be the flash in here. Looking for the stun off the Petrifying Gaze. Flash away from Ian. Going to dodge out on that Glacial Prison. He'll be fine, and we can go back to podcasting.
The Summoner trade doesn't necessarily suit Griffin through that either, as Ra this flashes down and could potentially be squished by the engage range. Speaking of being squished,
Classic Slingshot coming through, looking for the grab. And a barrage comes down from ADD, rather getting chunked out. Kidnap comes in, and we're looking at a first blood over here to the side of MVP. They lock him in, and Ian claims it for the Swain.
it's not the 1-for-1 you want. Cassiopeia without flash struggles because of his short range. Very quick collapse by Beyond is super on point, and first blood to MVP. Slow down the sails of Griffin.
Could have gotten away from that if he had boots, but rather will get punished. Nice little gold lead going to be opened up here for the side of MVP. Control in mid lane. We'll see if they can translate that down to the bottom side where they already have a nice ward line going down the river, so that first Infernal could be something that gets snatched up next.
Watch the replay here. The ward line's what I want to talk about, but the replay's on the screen, and she doesn't have flash, she doesn't have ultimate, nowhere the Cassiopeia can go. Taken down for first blood, it's a great capitalization, but I want to talk about the ward line. It is, as you mentioned, 3 control wards, which allows the Caitlyn lane to push up and have nothing to worry. No threat is coming to the bot lane. And from that, the bot lane turret and punishing the Kaiser is one part of the equation. The other part is, what a happy coincidence that the Infernal Drake is there around where they have priority. So it's a double win for MVP if they turn it into something.
You can see here, Ian, the very nice CS lead also opening up off the backside of that first blood. So he is going to be in a very comfortable position, has the Merc Treads to deny that extra lockdown, as well as a bit of power there with the Blasting Wand.
Definitely bot side.
In a nice spot.
We even have to talk about the GP ultimate can be loaded into bot side as well. So Griffin just going to scale. Again, we saw this in game 1 of their series against Kongdu Monster, where they went for a very greedy draft and were happy to scale. Hence walks up, and as Morgana, it's pretty damn squishy, but not going to take any huge harass.
Will be okay. Pilot just trying to swing this lane into their favor. Here's chunking away at the turret. Nearly has that one knocked down to about half HP. So things going all right, and is keeping his head above the water as far as the CS is concerned. Ian, a nice little juke out there on the Glacial Prison. Now Beyond going to be arriving to go ahead and turn this around.
Beautiful.
Smacks them together, rather. Gonna go down. Beyond finds that hit now. Looking for the Sejuani. Tarzan gonna flash
One more
away,
auto.
but one more auto will do it, but he's gonna make it in behind the minions, but it does not matter. He'll get grabbed in the end. Ian comes up with the kill.
And trying all in bot lane, that's not going to work. Viper wasn't going to bite on that particular one. Beautiful execution in mid, and this is what happens. Griffin do not usually play through mid. They play around. Talia, Galio, leaving lane. They're trying to punish Ian, but Ian is on point. He's been practicing, certainly. Very nice sidestep. Beyond in position again. And Inferno is going to be an extra award, and MVP suddenly, they're even more ahead than 2,500 gold represents.
Yeah, now the Infernal going over to them 3-0 in that regard. Dragon on the board. Things are looking great. This sidestep, great.
Boots 2, baby.
Yep.
Feels really good. The sidestep to re-engage as well. Watch Beyond as well. Flashes to register the Q. And then there was nowhere to go. They weren't going to get out. Ended up needing a bit of extra damage. Beyond actually just went for the instant cast ultimate for damage. And that was it. The never move hits, everything registering from MVP. And for Ian, it's a pretty good Swain performance, and he's probably not even the best Swain on his team.
Yeah, it's probably Max.
Or ADD.
Yeah.
They do have a lot of mad scientists there.
That was the obvious choice. I'm just waiting for Max to play the Swain support.
The triple flex.
Hell not?
I'm sure Swain can jungle.
I don't know if we've had really anything. Well, I guess Scion would be the other triple flex, but nothing really matching the Kennen from the 2016 Rocks Tigers.
Kennen was the potential for, I would say a pentaflex, but Quadra is the more likely
Pretty much
one.
was Penta.
I think his jungling would have been just fine, to be honest. He can kite the camps. A single target camps with the stuns actually really good.
Peanut could have made it work.
Well, believing in Peanut is certainly something that took Kingzone pretty far. I forget what they finished in spring, but they did pretty well. The bot lane Ragebait is finished and does allow the Gromp to be picked up very quickly, but not really going to change the bot lane unless an all-in happens. Kai'Sa in the standing trades, very, very simple equation. 525, way worse than 650. That means that for now, the all-ins can happen, but otherwise, Pilot's going to have plenty of lane control on the bot side.
Yeah, Ward into that back brush there next to the turret for Griffin, so Jungler wants the path over. MVP won't be able to spot it out. Beyond is having an excellent clear so far. He's got the kill, the 2 assists, and is keeping up above Tarzan.
I'm sure a lot of people at home, we've mentioned it a couple of times, but not every time, you do see Relic Shield line on both the tank junglers becoming more and more the norm. You can get in lanes, you can get some procs, you may not have the wards early, but eventually you'll have access to vision from the quest line when you get 500 gold, and a sweeper, so may not be vision as early as the tracker's knife, but junglers, especially tank junglers' jobs, are about that vision placement and vision denial, and that's what those pickups allow.
Gotta figure something out when your tracker's knife is gone. Beyond now going to be rotating down to the bottom side. Elastic Slingshot coming through just to threaten them back so they can secure the first brick. MVP locked that in. 3,700 gold in the lead, just 14 minutes into this game. Probably one of the biggest leads they've had in quite some time.
Not even sure that Tarzan knew that he was seen on a control wall. He's backing anyway because he knows he needs to be there to save the bot lane. Going for an engage, actually, Beyond, all right. A drive-by chilling smite, if you don't mind.
He's pretty tanky. Not going to be too fearful there. Knew that the Morgana was in the jungle, so no real threat of that Dark Binding locking him up underneath the turret. And also even has the passive if need be.
Griffin have had games like this recently where they're going for scaling this bot lane. Are we going to see an actual engage?
Not going to see the stun there. Onto Lehens, has the black shield. Glacial Fissure comes out from Max. Now it's going to be Ace in the hole going through onto Viper. Ian looking to lock him in. Flashes in underneath the turret for the chase and just blows him up. Did not stand a chance.
Flash over the Dark Binding. Lovely stuff. They're able to get Beyond on the back end, but the 1-for-1, pretty decent by the side of MVP. ADD didn't have to walk over. Both teleports are down. MVP keep pushing up, and there's no threat on Pilot, even though at 15 minutes, he's pushing into the inner turret in bot.
Absolutely excellent so far from MVP.
Both Ian's flashes this game have been tip-top. They've been excellent. His Swain play definitely fusing the brains trust of ADD, who was our first Swain over in Korea this year. And going for a great solo performance himself.
Also, just a great start for MVP on the blue side. Their games versus Ever8, all 3 of them they played red side.
And red is the desired side because the belief at the moment is that the counter pick outweighs the first pick by enough of a margin that you want to take red side wherever it's available. You can't really blue side Talia as easily with all the Yasuos running around. There are other counter picks for most of the good stuff.
Those dirty, dirty Yasuos.
I did allude to them on the first day. This time I didn't get one. I'm hoping we get one today. Yasuo and competitive is exactly the opposite. It's going to follow. He's going to get hit. Boom shakalaka. He didn't actually get a Gangplank item from it. If he had pilfered something, it would have been even better.
That would have been incredible. But yes, Yasuo would be interesting. I can't even think of the last time I've cast a competitive Yasuo in LCK.
I want to digress for a moment. I'm actually quite frustrated at myself. I went for a NBA Jam reference. I think I got the wrong one. I should have gone for a better one there. I don't know about the Boom Shakalaka.
Boom Shakalaka's all right.
It's all right.
It's not a bad one.
From downtown was definitely the right one for that one.
Yes, that one.
That's why I screwed up.
Okay.
I don't know how much of our chat even knows what NBA Jam is.
I won't say that you screwed up, but I will say that you could have done better. How about that? Ian now getting collapsed on. Can he sidestep? This one's going to be the question. The Empire coming down. Vision of the Empire. Rather, as Ian just gets chunked out. Rather, rips him apart. Tarzan will go ahead and scoop up the final blow.
That's what happens when you don't go the Abyssal Mask. You die pretty damn fast for the Cassiopeia. Cassio's job to hold the Swain in check. She's doing it without teleport, but she's doing it well. But MVP trying to respond with a mid lane turret.
Get a bit of damage in. Short hop over the wall. Just take down those Raptors here for Beyond. Pilot got quite a bit of damage in onto the turret, but they can't finish it off yet. Could have used a Rift Herald, but didn't go for it.
Oh, they're actually just solo pushing up. Gets double control ward, but I don't think Gangplank's too interested in teleporting bot lanes.
Yeah, it would seem not. Rift Herald now going to be used.
Trying to force the positioning, knowing that Cassio does not have the teleport. Duck Binding will slow it down, but it will eventually charge up and take this mid lane turret.
And there it is. All right. Gets the hit in. That's a second turret now over to MVP. As they continue to try to stretch this gold lead. 4,000 up at the moment. Not growing as quickly as it once was. Tarzan on the other side of the map is going to try to pick up the Ocean Drake to answer an objective here against the run of play.
At the same time, MVP owns the top side. They're going to be happy to take the top lane turret. Nar can't even enter lane. Sword, at least smart with his lane assignment. It doesn't feel good to be giving Gangplank free gold, but has to be safety first until they saw the rest of the team in mid lane. Turret goes down. The Gangplank gets bigger. As we mentioned, this is not Resolve Tree first. This is a Kleptomancy Gangplank, and what is on paper a difficult matchup into the Gnar. He's got a CS lead. He's got plenty of gold. Let's see if Sword goes offensive, because remember, Sword's build so far, 2 games of Gnar, 2 Rageblade Gnars. But that was in different matchups. When you're against a carry, you have to be a bit more having your wits around.
Yeah. Likely going to have to be a bit more defensive moving forward. We'll see just what he has planned.
There's always 2 schools of thought. You can just go Phantom Dance or Rageblade and say, let's fight.
True. Just try to get the 1v1 locked down and just get melted in the team fights.
Right, see, looking at the gold distribution here, and no surprise that Swain is comfortably ahead of his opponent. 1,000 gold lead there because of the kills. Griffin behind, as we can see, 5,000 gold. But often when they've fallen behind, they've been able to get that miracle team fight and turn it around. This team went 14-0 and lost 2 single games in Challenger. They fell behind in multiple games, but their team fighting was enough to take down Challenger teams. Let's see if that exact scenario, which seems like we're seeing unfold in front of our eyes because it is 2 teamfight comps, they can actually out-teamfight MVP as a very different assignment.
Well, 3 rotating up towards the top side. Gonna get spotted out by that ward in the river. Max hunting for it, but will not find it.
Viper just shooting out the Void Seeker and seeing what's happening when it comes to the enemy. Doesn't need to commit to them this early in the game. Build path is a very early visit to the Merlinomicon on the side of Cassio against Gangplank, Zac, and Swain, which is about the most healing you're going to see from the top of the map. So, very smart purchase there, indexing in, denying the insane healing that can come out on the side of MVP. Cassio pretty flexible on the build too, because you'll eventually have those 6 item slots to be able to piece together everything except boots. But we're watching. MVP, they're at 2 items. They're definitely feeling stronger. I think the gold lead will be felt in the team fight. And honestly, the Snowball Sterix on the side of ADD is going to be felt in the 1v1 as well. So Griffin are all about that loss minimization and getting Viper closer and closer to 3 items.
I mean, barring anything other than massive positional mistakes from the side of MVP. Should be able to just straight up win the team fight. If several members were to get caught by a Petrifying Gaze into perhaps a Gnar ult, then maybe that would turn the tide, but you can see Sword is just getting out-traded very heavily here by ADD, who has Asterix in the Triforce.
But when you're pretty sure you can win a team fight, or you're definitely sure you can rip through the 1v1, what do you do is kind of the interesting conundrum, where the Gangplank is so far ahead in the 1v1 that he's pretty happy to just punish this lane. You're against a team fight company, like, well, if we screw up the team fight, we could actually lose it, even with the big gold lead. So it's always those interesting shot calls about when you actually feel strong enough to fully commit onto something that we're going to be able to evaluate. You see the control wards are coming around Baron, but we all know about that cheeky ward around the corner, and for now at least Griffin knows that no Baron has been started.
Even if they found themselves in a situation for a 4v4, at least have the Cannon Barrage tossed in there from ADD. He's like halfway there.
Sure.
Just keep the Gnar contained.
If you're
For
wondering,
now, MVP just rotating around the map, trying to control everything that they possibly can.
and if you're wondering about the mind game of, well, let's control ward down, we haven't checked it, are they doing Baron or not? Swain is a very slow Baron taker. It's only Caitlyn, and we all know about her trough in terms of damage when it's not against turrets in the mid game. So it's actually pretty slow Baron speed. The Baron turn is decent, but it's not A+ either. They only really have Zac that can go for a big turn. Braum situationally as well. So it's sort of Baron where you still need to be aware of the threat, but you don't have to be rolling in there at every moment when you lose vision.
Ian is quite scary at the moment. Rather, has been able to gain at least the CS lead here to try to claw back some of that gold, but the 3 kills, now fully stacked Rod of Ages, still holding on to that watch as well in the inventory, so he's going to be pretty safe. He's already got the innate sustain and just unkillability of being Swain in general, so losing the 1v1 versus Rather is probably not even a worry in his mind right now.
Has a stopwatch on the way to the Zonias as well to occupy space in a fight. Notice that Viper hasn't gone for Hurricane. That's a very common build path on the Kai'Sa because she's not against those tanks. She has to respect the fact that if she walks up trying to look for Hurricane Bolt, she might just die to turnaround damage from Ian and ADD. So while Rapid Fire Cannon feels pretty bad on a short-range champion that it scales on, still is the necessary purchase here for Viper.
Just trying to hit that power spike. In the meantime, though, Pilot, he's going to hurt. No one really has the armor to try to withstand this Caitlyn at the moment, so he'll get ripped apart. Ace in the hole coming through. Tarzan to block that one out. As MVP group up here in the mid lane. ADD pinching in from the side, throwing down the barrels, looking for a poke. Chunks Viper down to nearly half HP.
That definitely qualifies as a poke, Achilles. They're going to keep pushing here. We'll see what Griffin want to do. They don't have Mega Gnar. Rather's not there and cannot walk through the ward, knowing that there potentially could be someone lying in wait.
For the hit there on a Tarzan, but not going to find it. MVP just getting a smattering of damage in onto the turret, but that's about it to start things off. But MVP, this has enabled them to push up their vision line. Looking for some wards here into the top side, but Lehens is going to find 2. Gets rid of that control.
Rather, which we see a lot on Cassiopeia, for now at least, happy to hit his side lane. Very reminiscent of Faker and Crown on Cassiopeia, who, when in doubt, even without teleport, will try to make these side lane plays to get big enough to team fight. Again, that is the Griffin way. They're draft and scaling. Plenty of teams, including SKT, have been criticized for scaling. Scaling only really can be used against you if the enemy team is proactive, specifically around Baron. But now at least the Ocean Drake, no worry for Griffin. Can they keep this the game state? About a 5,000 gold. It might not 6, but keep it within 5 to 6,000 for another 5, 10 minutes. That's when they'll be willing to opt into the team fights that right now MVP can't find.
At least hasn't been snowballing out of control. They've kind of stemmed the bleeding. It's still an open wound, but it's not that severe here for Griffin. They have slowed it down, but they need to start clawing something back. Getting some turrets on the board would really assist them.
And let's talk about one simple thing that could change this game instantly. Very simple, that anyone could make is, what if they had 2 control wards in the river? One on the actual Baron, and one to scout for the actual ward that stops Griffin from having to walk up. The ward we can see on the minimap right next to the control ward on Baron. You need that second control ward to actually force Griffin to do anything. They have no need to walk up anywhere near the Baron. They put down a lane control ward to stop there being any shenanigans, and they're very, very safe. Just a second ward down in that position would change the game state instantly.
You're a genius, Papa Smithy. An evil one, but a genius.
I should have made a YouTube video out of it. Would have got a lot more hits. One simple way to fix your Baron tanks.
And then it's like a 10-minute outro, so you can get that ad revenue.
Nightblue's probably done it.
And you tell everyone, you smash that like button right at the end. It'd be great.
Hey, they did it! Hey!
Hey!
Look at MVP. They've been listening.
They stole your ad revenue, Papa. You could have made 50 cents.
Back to the drawing board, I guess.
Oh well.
Back into this game. The headaches, they're getting a bit louder. The white noise in their ears, it's getting a bit more apparent. So now, Griffin are going to be forced into doing things. See what that represents. Remember, Morgana's not too happy about walking up to face check, even with Black Shield. That's down, and suddenly the person next to her can die instantly, and she is squishy herself.
Black Shield won't do a damn thing versus Pilot, so walk into that Caitlyn, you're probably gonna die. MVP yet again pushing up, just trying to maintain vision control in this top side of the jungle. Just keep Griffin contained back behind the tier 2 turrets. Speaking of which, the one in mid lane taking quite a bit of damage.
Keep pushing, though. For now, at least, if you can see all the champions on the map, you don't care about the Baron. We already mentioned their Baron damage short of the Caitlyn and Gangplank being off the map is pretty minimal, so again, they're not worried. But there isn't really any counterplay to this, as suddenly KT fans perk up a little bit. There is no counterplay to the current game state. They're happy to sit back and scale. Griffin getting closer and closer to turning on as Tarzan considers his options.
You can tell that they were thinking about it. They saw that Dark Binding connect. They're like, oh, maybe we should. Decide not to. Just too risky here to try to go in onto the Braum. Even then, he's a bit too tanky with a few items that he finds himself with. Just keep trying to move up the waves, get some extra damage in to break the turret. Seems like MVP have finally done it. And we'll take that. They'll find 2 control wards on the exit as well. Now they can start teasing Griffin around the Baron. Oh man, Lehens just takes so much damage.
Not even a max damage build, it's the Sterix Yoma's top
jump
lane.
in, they're going to be looking for Rather. He goes to the other side. The flash, not the way you wanted to go. He'll get locked in. Concussive blows comes through as Ian finds the kill.
Meanwhile,
in the meantime, ADD gets collapsed on. Lehens will find that kill with the Ignite. Red buff taken away. Beyond looking to go forward. Jumps in. Trying to find Tarzan, but the Dark Binding comes through to lock him up.
A lot of tools used to get the pick. You can see a lot of ultimates down for Griffin off screen. Do they actually walk back to the Baron? It will be a slow Baron, but they feel that they're strong enough to do it anyway. There's no vision here. There's going to be a spot check. They know it started. Here comes Griffin.
Got the Caitlyn.
5,000.
Void Seeker coming through.
Do they have a control ward to check it?
Get it spotted out. Lehens almost goes down. Filter for Peacemaker, not going to take him down. Dark Shield now going to be used.
There must be no control ward, so they put none down, so they have no idea about the health here. What will Tarzan do?
We'll have to see if he wants to pull the trigger. Ian's going to go over the wall. Tarzan comes in. They're going to go ahead and just turn straight in onto the Sejuani. They take him down. Now Sword and hits him into the wall, but they're still going to kill him as Pilot finds it. Now firing away. They get the Baron in the end. MVP miraculously not going to be losing anyone around that Baron dance.
One by one, they went over the wall, and it's MVP. You think it's going to be the 50-50, but MVP are on point with their Baron goaltending in this particular case, able to go and answer all the threats. And sadly for Viper, he's a short-range AD carry. He can't be involved over the wall. Watching the replay here. Remember, no control wall. They don't know what it's at. Eventually, Tarzan has to go, and MVP are known to burn Barons. So he jumps in, especially after Ian gives him the invitation. They turn onto him. They don't DPS down Baron, which healed for a moment. And then Sword sees a great Gnar ultimate. But as we mentioned, Viper can only do the minimum over the wall. Excellent Baron take by MVP, and it does vindicate their first 30 minutes where they have been in full control.
Well, they lock down that Baron. Items coming through, and they have such a lead now. Nearly 10,000 gold up with that Infernal Drake that they were able to pick up. MVP looking to take this game pretty concisely. Not a pre-30-minute game by any means, but still very dominant. Griffin, they're the team that's floundering. They're the one that's trying to find an answer here against MVP as they push up. Now look for the inhibitor turrets here in the bottom side.
Very little they can do against this Baron. Their ranged engage really only represents that Sejuani ultimate's not going to be enough either. So for now, at least, the Bannon doing the hard work. Viper's too short range to walk up and even poke at this. In the reverse situation, Caitlyn will look for some autos. There will be the first Nexus turret. Inhibitor turret, that's a bit of a spoiler, but inhibitor turret going down.
You're revealing the script there, Papa Smithy. Sword's just in the top lane. Already had the Mega Gnar transformation, TP's up, but no opening. No ward behind MVP to try to go for the flank, to make the big heroic play. They might just get strangled out of this one. Nexus turret's under fire. Bannon still doing work, and Pilot inching up when he can.
Oh!
Finisher comes in. Viper down to half HP. Black Shield comes through to try to keep him alive. Yukazubo's could get procced. He makes his way back into the fountain. Manages to stay alive here for the moment. But MVP will not relent. They're still pushing forward. They have super creeps on the way with still 1 minute and 20 seconds left with double Bannon minions in the base. Turrets don't stand a chance. The Nexus as well. Likely gonna get chunked out. Beyond goes forward, looks for the big play. Kidnap comes through, finds one, and they absolutely melt down rather as Pilot finds another one. They'll smack two together, but the Nexus crumbles and MVP start things off with a bang.
And honestly, they look at the enemy comp, they say, okay, you've gone well into scaling again, Griffin, we can punish you. The answer is that they definitely can. They've shown the proof. The proof is in their Game 1 performance. Griffin could have gone many ways with their final pick, but with no Galio available, they try to attack mid lane. They don't go for the roams. They don't play the style that largely got them where they are in this tournament. They look a bit out of sorts at Kiliosen. Comfortable victory for MVP in game number 1.
Wow. Certainly a bit more one-sided than I would have anticipated. At least from MVP's sake, maybe Griffin would be the ones to start things off like that, given that they nearly had a perfect game versus Kongdu Monster in game number 2, but that was just rough from them. Couldn't really find much ground to stand on. MVP, they took the lead and they never surrendered it.
Beating 15 teams in a row, 15 best-of-3 wins means a lot, but their opponents were challenger teams and Kongdu Monster. MVP is a step above those teams. MVP was a step ahead, and we won against Kongdu. If you draft greedy, will LCK teams beat you in the early game? Clearly the answer is yes.
Well, MVP, a game 1 victory. We'll see what side they're going to end up on, but right now seems like they're going to be comfortable on blue or red. Maybe even more so on the former. Given that performance, Griffin is going to have to go ahead, try to bounce back from this, get a win on the board, take the lead in the series so they can lock in their position for LCK Summer. They're one step further away from having that. MVP, they want the requalification. They want to instill hope back into their fans. This first win helps with that. Now they just need 2 more to seal the deal. We'll see if they can do it. Get one step closer when we come back from the break.